wonder who the mystery villain's going to be. I bet it's someone really cool, you know, as a Romulan or a Klingon or some new species, someone we've never seen before. Oh, I can't wait. Let's find out. Oh, so Picard, Season 3, Episode 2. Where, how we get on with this one. Not a bad episode, you know, pretty decent enough. Definitely some bad bits, like anything to do with Raffi. Anytime she's on the screen is just a dead stop to the story. Absolute waste of screen time. Her character, her story are all pointless, and I hate every second that she's on the screen. I really, really, really wish they had just got rid of all the Season 1 and 2 characters. They bring nothing to the table. They bring nothing to the story. Raffi's character is given literally nothing to do except get forced drama between other characters. It really just makes no sense. Every time she comes on the screen, I just sigh. I end up just looking at my phone. I don't even watch it. I don't even really pay attention when she's on the screen. You end up with stupid scenes like between her and her ex-husband, where he basically tells her that he'll either talk to their son about getting back together, like reconsidering, reconnecting the relationship with his mother, or I'll put you in touch with his contact. You know, even though so he basically, I will either let you save the lives of millions of people, or I'll put you in touch with your son. I mean, there's just genuinely no reason for him to be that level of an asshole. It makes no sense. It's just this forced conflict, this written in for no reason, because the writers aren't talented enough to come up with dialogue or backstory where it would work. So I'm going to spoil some. Well, you can't spoil this episode. You can't really spoil this series because its existence is a spoiler. But there will be some spoilers in here. So if you haven't watched it and you are interested in watching it, go and watch it and come back. But basically, Raffi's whole plot, it seems, the whole purpose for her existence in the show is to basically just bring, no surprise to anyone, Worf. Worf is her secret handler, and he turns up at the end to save her. Now, Worf was one of my favourite characters on TNG and Deep Space Nine. He was just... Michael Dorn played him so well, and he was brilliant. Brilliant. If you ever want to see like quality acting and quality writing, you should watch any scene where Worf and Data are interacting. It's brilliant. But Worf is basically the one that turns up at the end. And if her whole being, her whole purpose in this show was to bring Worf into it, I don't understand why Worf just couldn't have been the one to do her bit. Just get rid of her completely. Get rid of Raffi completely and just have Worf do all the things that she was doing. You don't need to do this sort of bait and switch where now Raffi's kind of being attached to the good legacy characters. You don't want her stink on that. Like, just have Worf do all the things that she was doing, and then it would have been 1,000 times better. We've cared more. I don't care anything about Raffi. I do not care at all about her character. I do not care at all about her backstory. I do not care at all about the people who are surrounding her. Like, I don't care. I don't care about them at all. So should have just had Raffi, Worf be Raffi. But everything other than Raffi in the episode is actually quite good. There are certain bits like the dialogue between characters, and certainly it's a lot of sort of Deus Ex Machina stuff. You get the classic James Bond villain tropes of leaving just one inept guard alone with the prisoner. So Jack has been taken prisoner because basically the Karen villain, and this is where you find the writers are completely devoid of all inspiration. The villain is a Karen. So the Karen villain, she demands that Jack for reasons. She's a bounty hunter. Like, everyone's going to believe that. She's a bounty hunter, and she wants him because he's a criminal. he openly admits the Federation think he's a criminal, and everyone else thinks he's a criminal. So he's definitely a criminal. And you know, you get the classic, oh, I'm a freedom fighter. I'm only a criminal because I was delivering medicine to these. Shut up. You're a criminal. All right. You've broken the law. You've broken thousands of laws, wherever it is. So she says, I want him. Picard says basically, well, I can't betray my friend, Beverly, and give over her only son to essentially the mob, who will undoubtedly kill him. Right? So they're stuck on the ship with this cat. They're trying to come after them. They send two people over. She sends two people who are instantly killed by Picard and Riker, and then says, "Well, they're not sending any more because they'll not get to us." It's like, send two. They've got a whole ship, and these two old dudes, they're going to run out of steam eventually. Send 4 in 2 different places, and then there you go. Instantly you've got on and taken over. But 7 of 9 manages to convince Captain Shaw to go and rescue them. By basically saying, do you want to be the guy who let Picard die? And you're like, okay, yeah. Even though he doesn't really like Picard or Riker for reasons which aren't made abundantly clear, they might be made clear later. He doesn't really like them because maybe he's jealous of them or their legacy, but he doesn't really like them. But that one, so he's basically saying, no, they're on their own. They broke the law. They nicked a shuttle. They've gone outside of Federation space. I can't go out there. That's not Federation space. If I go out there, it's like an act of aggression, like an act of war almost. I've got 500 crew to look after. For these two old dudes, I can't sacrifice them all. Which is absolutely perfectly logical thinking. So they've toned down the assholishness of his character a little bit in this. But she manages to convince him to go and rescue. So he dives in, jumps in the way of the Batman ship and the other Federation ship with Riker, Picard, and Jack on it. They beam them on, so they're all on the Titan. Then we get a back and forth with the Karen, who says, "Well, hand him over. Basically, you've got an hour. Hand him over." So Shaw basically then says, "Okay, Picard, you decide." Like, what? Why am I deciding? You didn't want me on board. You told me abundantly clear that I was not in charge here. I think this goes to show basically Shaw is a bit of a coward. Like, he doesn't want to have to make the decision to save or either fight this person or hand over this one person. He doesn't really want to make that decision. He's a bit of a coward in that regard. I don't think he's a coward in the sense of that he wouldn't jump into a fight, but he doesn't want to make the decision. So if it's not, he doesn't have like that gut instinct that the old legendary captains Picard and Kirk and that have, I think, and he's probably quite jealous of that. I think he knows it. So he basically pawns off the decision onto Picard and says, "You've got an hour, make up your mind." All the while, Riker's basically going, mate, that kid looks an awful lot like you, mate. You think maybe, and you think maybe he's yours, So he goes and chats to him. The guy's just a bit of a twat, nothing too serious. He's just a bit of a twat. He's just a bit of a fool of himself. There's no way that guy's 20. Like, I do not know what they're trying to pull off here, but that guy is not 20. He's like 35, if a day. But we get to a point where we get a stupid scene where Jack is chatting to he says Jack's in the brig while they make a decision, and they get a chat. He starts chatting to the one security guard there, and he's like, "What power level is this force field?" And how much power is in this force field? He goes, "Level 10, standard." Like, level 10? 10 what? Like, and why do you have levels 1 to 10? It's a brig. Surely you're either in it or you're not in it. Do you have slightly less power for smaller enemies? For smaller aliens, and then super powerful for Klingons and other bigger aliens? What is it? Is it not just on or off? So he gets out by using his little gizmo, which they didn't confiscate from him. He has a little gizmo. You can give a pat down. There's no scanners to say, oh, you've got some gizmos on you, give them off to me before you put you in the brig. No, he's left in there. He escapes, gives the guard a concussion, possibly kills him because he headbutts him and lets him fall on the ground. Head trauma could kill a guy easily from that size falling. So he's maybe killed this guy. Doesn't give a shit. He's trying to escape. 7 of 9 catches him, but at the teleporter, and it turns out he's trying to sacrifice himself. He's trying to give himself over to the Karen so that she doesn't blow up the ship and kill his mum. So, but I mean, they inevitably stop him doing that. Riker goes to find Beverly so he can try and find the truth about whether or not he is Picard's son or not, and endangers her life significantly by injecting her with adrenaline or some other stimulant, and she's just been shot and just gone through some sort of surgery. He just injects her with adrenaline, a stimulant to wake her up so he can chat to her. And then it turns out through nothing but a look. He's just a look between Beverly and Picard. Yeah, and Picard knows at that point, oh, he's my son. What? He's my son. So, I hope to we get some sort of ramifications about that in the next episode, where Picard is like, what the fuck? I have a son? You had my son and didn't tell me about it for almost 20 years. In fact, you weren't going to tell me about it until you got shot. And even then, I don't even know if you would have told me. What the fuck, Beverly? Like, what the heck? What is going through your mind? God damn it, women. If they can remain friends after that'd be unbelievable. That'd be like the biggest betrayal in the world. I don't know what absolute horseshit reason the writers are going to come up with that she didn't tell her, and that Picard is going to accept. But there'll be some bullshit reason where she got pregnant with Picard's child and then abandoned them and left. That just seems so out of character for anyone in the Star Trek. Like, especially those people. They were actually trying to be a couple at that point, apparently. Then she got pregnant, and then what? Fucked off? Because she's like, oh, I can't deal with this. But she had the kid and then cut him off? What a bitch! But anyway, Picard knows that's his son. And this is where you get the best bit of the episode, because Picard has basically been taking a nap for the past 2 series. He's been taking a nap, and this woke him up. Like, he went into like old school Picard mode at that point. He took control of the bridge. He took control of the situation, and he snapped into life. And it was like, wow, that was a spark, a fire under Picard, and you got to see like remnants of the old Picard again, which is like, that really gave me sort of goosebumps. That hit me hard, like seeing Picard take control of the bridge. At which point Shaw, who is, as I say, is a complete coward, and even though in the last episode he had said, you're a retired admiral, you have no authority here, he lets Picard run the show, because I think he can tell when a commanding presence is on board. And that's what Picard is. He is a commanding presence. When Picard speaks, you listen. Yeah, this is one of these people. That's sort of his main thing. When he speaks, you listen, and he inspires the people around him to act in ways that are, it's possibly really dangerous, but they believe him and follow him because they believe in him. And this is what happens. He takes control of this, and he instigates. He says, "No, he's my son. You're not getting him." And then they essentially run away into the nebula, thus starting the cat and mouse submarine hunting Wrath of Khan storyline. And this is a worry. If they're going for a Wrath of Khan level vibe, nothing so far has shown me that these writers and producers are talented enough to be able to pull that off in an effective way. So I'm a little bit worried, whereas at the same time I've now got a sort of glimmer of hope, which is very worrying. Having hope is the worst part, because that's when you get hurt. So we shall see. So all in all, the episode was a lot better than the first episode. It's still just too dark. I hope that with Picard on board, he can say, turn the goddamn lights on now. I can't see a thing. I'm a 100-year-old robot. I can't see anything. Like, turn on the damn lights. And then eventually we'll get Worf coming back in. So you'll get Worf, Crusher, Worf, Beverly, Riker, Picard. And then LaForge is obviously going to come into it through his daughter, who's on the ship at the moment. So we'll get LaForge back, and then you've basically got the whole crew, like the original crew. Obviously Data is well long gone, but Data's an android, so there's many different variations of Data. You got B4, will probably be B4 that comes back. Lore, I think, was the evil version of Data. I can't remember if he became good in the end or not. But you've got them, so eventually they'll all come back, and I think as reviews have said that it's like episode 6 when they're all together again, which does seem like a long way away from this point on. If this is what it's going to be like, another 4 episodes, it's going to be a tough slog to get through to get them all back. Considering it's only 9 episodes or 10 episodes long, so we're going to get like 4 episodes of them all together. That's going to be a bit of a bummer. My only hope is that now that Raffi's served her purpose of bringing Worf into the fray, she can just be sort of jettisoned and got rid of, like, because we do not need her, and we do not need her storyline at all. That is the only thing bringing this down. That brings it down from like a 7 down to a 4 or a 5. Honestly, every time she comes on, everything just screeches to a massive halt. I start to get angry, and then I start to disengage until she's gone. Yeah. So all in all, decent episode. I'd have to give it a 5 out of 10, and that's mainly because of Raffi. If she wasn't in it, it'd be a 7, which is a step up from episode 1. I hope this continues the way it is now that Picard is made, and we get the characters back to the way they were in The Next Generation. The last 2 series of Picard have not been Picard, like it's been someone else. So if he can snap back into like classic Picard, that'd be brilliant. I'd love that. So we shall see. Until next time, like, comment, and subscribe below, and tell me your thoughts. And if you're watching this at all, if not, well, you can watch me, and I'll see you next week.